United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. I'd like to welcome everybody to the work session tonight. Approval of agenda. Does anybody got any questions on the agenda? About the consent agenda?
I have Mr. Chairman, I have a few questions on the consent agenda
Okay.
pertaining to, let's see, I think it's section E, down to where it's talking about Eddie Pope and Michael George. I see where individual voice instruction and private instruction is funded from schools. Can you explain that, why the school would be paying for individuals to be?
Jeff may have that form, they have to submit it to them. Why don't you step up where they can hear you?
In the discussions we had a year ago in the fall on the various supplemental pays and all, if these, and we see them for sport, coaching sports, of course band, different programs, if it was being done through the school, through a booster group, that it was approved.
Okay, my question is, are these two items, if you can scroll down to the next page, it might show better. Are these for individual people?
Yes, sir, they are.
And why is the parents not paying for individual tutoring, individual coaching, or?
This is, I think these are probably, and I can get the details for Thursday night, kind of arranged like through the band director, the boosters, that we need to supplement this aspect. One of the examples that came up last year, I'm probably saying the wrong group, but they needed someone to help with the brass instruments. So that particular person would work with the students who play brass instruments.
I can understand that.
But you understand that this is booster club money,
Booster.
and not actual school money.
Or
Well,
raised.
It's funneling through the school.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't see that said boosters, it just says school funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we channel those payments through
Okay.
us, so we know what's going on.
Okay.
And
well,
this
I'm-
issue came up before you came on the board.
Right.
When we started listing all of these.
Right.
So this is booster money.
Okay, as long as it says it's booster money, that's fine.
Or in some instances, you might have some that was raised by members of a band, chorus, whatever, as part of their fundraising through the school.
Okay.
You could have that.
Well, that's fine, thanks.
Do you want me to get any more details?
No, as long as it's booster, that's fine then, so. Now, I do have something else on F, and I'm probably talking out of turn here, but where it talks about non-faculty volunteer coaches. And where it talks about the TSS guidelines, asking the Board of Education to approve them. Do these volunteers have to go through a background check or anything like that?
They do.
Okay, that's all.
They have to submit that to Ms. Barnes over there before the list is developed, actually.
Oh, okay, great,
And they don't make it to the list until that's clear.
good. Just wanted to check on that,
Okay.
thanks. That's all I have.
Anybody else
That's good.
on the consent agenda? All right, Mr. O.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Number 7 is relocation of Oakland High School boys basketball locker room. Oakland High School Principal Bill Spurlock has requested permission to relocate the boys basketball locker room into an adjacent vacant room. The current locker room has 20 lockers and the current basketball team has 38 players. Therefore, it is necessary. The cost of the project is approximately $6,000. and will be paid out of boys' basketball booster club funds at no cost to the board. The Rutherford County Schools Engineering and Construction Department and Maintenance Department have reviewed the project, and the State Fire Marshal's Office has cleared the project. And the motion will be to approve relocation and construction of the boys' basketball locker room at Oakland High School at no cost to the board as presented.
Does size of a locker room have any bearing on title issues?
They checked into title on this issue, and Mr. Spurlock said that the girls' basketball room was nicer than the
Oh,
boys'
okay.
already.
Well,
so-
that's all we care about. We just, as long as that's the case, we don't care.
Well, that's what we were told.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Odom.
Anybody else? B.
Blackman High School baseball dugout improvements. Principal Gail Vick has asked permission to make additions to the home and visitor dugouts. The additions include a 12 by 12 storage area to the visitor dugout and a 10 by 7 feet 6 inch scoreboard addition to the home dugout. The improvements will be funded through the Blackman High School Baseball Boosters Club at no cost to the Rutherford County School Board. There's no gender equity issue since softball has storage. And the motion is to approve construction of storage and scorekeeper addition to the dugouts of Blackman High School baseball field as presented.
All right. Before you go into number 8, Mr. Carter, are you gonna give us an update on Stewart's Creek Hire now, or you gonna wait till Thursday, or?
I planned on giving you one on the 6th with a total update. Do you need one now? Would you like to have one now?
The 6th will be televised, I guess, won't it?
Correct.
Okay. We're
It's a
fine.
special call.
Okay, okay. Unless anybody has any questions or wants an update now.
I walked through it the other day, so I'm good.
Like what you saw?
Beautiful. It's really going to be an incredible facility, Mr. Chairman. Good.
I'll ask this, at what point are we gonna be called on to make a decision on access roads in, out, whether we do something with what we do,
It's on
at the
the
building
agenda for
committee
the
meeting
6th.
at next Tuesday night's meeting, when do we expect to
It's
do
on the
that?
agenda for the 6th.
We'll be bringing that forth with a recommendation on the 6th.
Okay.
We will also have the civil engineer on record here to discuss, and also Mr. Reed, the legal aspect of it.
Anybody else? All right, Mr. Odom, number 8.
2013-2014 Rutherford County Schools academic calendar change for February 2014 Parent-Teacher Conference Day. 2013 Parent-Teacher Conference Day, should it be? 2013 should be. The Rutherford County Schools 2013-14 calendar dates for parent-teacher conferences are set for October and February. The February date needs to be moved to March due to changes in high school grading periods. The March date will provide parents with more academic information to discuss during meetings. And the motion will to approve parent-teacher conference date change from February 2014 to March, it'll be February 2013 to March.
It'll be 2014.
Are you 2 years out?
Next calendar.
Okay.
February will be on 2014.
Okay.
It's correct.
So what we have at that point now, the quarter system is because we need to report, have parent-teacher conferences shortly after a reporting period. So we can talk to the parents about that. And so what we're planning next year is to move, the high schools have been on 6 weeks. We've had elementary and middle on 9 weeks period. We're gonna try to standardize that and put everybody on the quarter system the next year. So by moving this date, and these meetings are after school, so it's not a change for students, basically, will come after the grading period.
All right, number 9.
Number 9 are our policies, the new and revised policies. This will be the second reading. And policy 6.312, this is the use of personal communication devices and cellular telephones. And of course, the purpose of this was to allow students to use personal technology devices for instructional purposes. It's part of the bring your own device that we've talked a little bit about. And that was a big conversation last night in the parents' meeting. We had our meeting with the parents last night, and Mr. Evans did a good job of bringing what we were planning, what this policy will say. And they had lots of follow-up questions. I thought quite excited about it. It was a good evening with mostly PTO presidents and that sort of thing. Very well attended. Policy 6.316 is the suspensions, and this is to add language to the policy allowing suspensions for possession of toy weapons on school property except for school-sponsored or approved functions. And the motion will be to approve revisions to policy 6.312 and 6.316 on second and final reading as recommended by the policy committee.
I believe we discussed those pretty in-depth before we had last meeting.
And we, I've received, and I assume a couple have received an email or two concerning that kind of thing, and I'm interested to look at this language. It says it's allowed for suspensions. It doesn't say zero tolerance. It doesn't mean shall be suspended, which does allow leeway there for some common sense. Now that anytime you take this decision out of the policy, it puts it on your shoulders to come up with that common sense kind of thing. But I did not recall exact wording of that. And it does say allows rather than shall or zero tolerance, which I think is appropriate.
This toy weapons does not fit the state's guidelines for zero tolerance offenses. I mean, there's a statutory there. You have the right to add some yourself, but basically there's a statutory guideline there for the most serious offenses.
All right, number 10, general discussion by board members.
I have two things. The meeting on the 6th for future construction, at that point, are you going to make a recommendation and we're going to approve it that night, or are we going to look at it and then come back another time?
That's up to you. What we're going to make some recommendations that night. And I was going to add tonight anyway, please, if you have some other thoughts, even if you've already mentioned it, some things are additions to buildings, some are generally renovations, please let Mr. Clardy know so that we can have some preliminary information for you. Sometimes we can get preliminary cost estimates, but it'll reduce the time frame for us if he knows ahead of time some thoughts that your constituents have spoken to you about, maybe needing something, and then we can begin to look where that might be in a priority basis. Obviously, some of our priorities has got to be capacity, to be able, because we know as we go out and build, it takes a while to build additions and changes, so you have to look at things. What it's going to do for us to be able to handle the enrollment for Upper County schools. So that's one of the things we do. But please just go ahead and tell it, and we can get some information for you that night.
Do you already have a preliminary list of some things?
We're building a list.
Could we have that prior to that meeting?
I don't have a problem with it. We've been to them Thursday night if you want to.
Okay.
It's not prioritized at this point. Some of the things where, you remember when we rode around that Saturday? So some of the things on that are the things that we talked about when we actually were riding around that Saturday. We talked at Blackman Middle, that sort of thing, so there's some information there on that. So that's the kind of things that you're going to see on it. And then some scheduled renovations that's over a period of time that we've looked at.
The other thing, I brought a copy of an article from the Rotarian. I know that Mr. Tackett gets this, but several of us have seen, and I think you have also, Mr. Odom, Saul Khan, who is probably considered the foremost authority on distance learning. So I just thought everybody would be interested in seeing this article, and I gave Mr. Zago a copy also, and it's interesting reading. And what I find fascinating is that Bill Gates has given the program, I think, already 7 million. It's either 7 million or 70 million, I forget, but it's apparent, it's global distance learning, which I find extremely interesting.
We actually have sent links to his site to our school personnel out in the buildings, because you can go in by topics and choose if you need help in some area of algebra or something like that, finding slope, line slope or something, and you wanted a tutoring on that, you can get it online at no charge. So we've sent that information out to teachers and all too.
Wow, okay, I did not know that.
Anybody else, Mr. Holliday? Nothing else? All right, with everything, we'll be adjourned, and we'll come back Thursday night.